Very good morning to you on the 13th day of March 2025. It's Friday finally. When you see Bansi here, you know the weekend is here with us. The weekend Q Bansi Kimui is already here. My name is Ann Odida. This is Monica Faisa. Feel Good Friday here. Karibu sana.
Of course, it is a WRC weekend. Acha nikwambia, the amount of dust that is going to be seen in Naivasha is absolutely crazy. I just hope your relationships will survive more than those cars. Because unajua, this is that one weekend yenye unaambiangwa sijui babe simu ilizima. Sitakuwa around for the weekend. Simu yangu imeharibika. Nimeenda kwa my aunties. A lot of relationships could survive. Kutakuwa na a lot of babe calling this weekend. And of course, a lot of cars are going to be racing in Naivasha. I feel so left out. I wish I was part of that rally.
Hawendi?
But well, here we are.
Kwa nini hawendi?
Niko kazi.
You know, when you say dust, actually I was watching news yesterday. Nikaona it rained and it's actually flooding in some areas in Naivasha. And some of the rally drivers there and of course the navigators were saying that they're hopeful that today at least it won't rain. So maybe hakuna dust.
Maybe hakuna dust.
It's just flooding, so it's muddy.
Yeah.
Lakini bado ikiwa muddy, it's still something
dust,
to be worried about.
Let me tell you, dust is constant even though there's no dust. Yeah, like I said, I think it's going to be a fun-filled weekend in Naivasha. Unajua, I've been seeing the hype on social media and someone on TikTok said, tukipatana na wewe WRC, usiniulize maswali ati sijui nafanya nini hapa. Wewe join in the fun.
Unajua nyinyi wote mmekuja raha.
What brought you here, please. Mambo mingi sijui umekuja na nani, Donna.
Lakini I heard that you know people who go for these rallies usually don't go for the rallies themselves. Like wanaenda kufanya shughuli zingine zenye si za rally.
I mean,
watu wanapeleka tabia za Nairobi, Naivasha.
Rally iko na mambo mingi. Unajua it has the experiential bit. It's not just about the cars. Na rally kiisha after.
Wanadu
it has to be after shenanigans.
Bansi.
It could be good.
Good as in what is good?
Because I know like 90% of Nganyas are going to the rally. So I know there's going to be a Nganya showdown and there's going to be a lot of Gen Z hype around it. Ni wewe uko na akili ngumu.
We millennial mind.
Millennial mind for real. Is enough.
You know, I will make it a priority next year at least to attend Safari Rally come next year because I think I have that akili ngumu, that millennial mind that is holding me back from going to the rallies. But at least I don't have to worry about Mr. Mans being somewhere that he's not supposed to be.
You and I both.
He's in the house.
You and I both. Okay, mine is non-existent. That's the best part.
Non-existent. Mine is in the house. I've left him in the house this morning. Let's take a look at the state of the weather. All right, let's take a look at the state of the weather. How's looking this morning? In Nandi County, it's a cloudy day today and it's 13 degrees this morning. Highs of 26 degrees expected today. Muranga, light rains expected, 16 degrees this morning. Highs of 27 degrees. Kitui, it's raining thunderstorms and it's highs of 28 degrees this morning. Mandera, it's 26 degrees this morning and it's a cloudy day. Highs of 37 degrees. Kajiado, it's raining. It's 15 degrees this morning, highs of 26 degrees. Kisumu is also raining this morning, it's 18 degrees and highs of 27 degrees expected today, this morning. That's the state of the weather.
All right, now let's take a look at the quote of the day.
Belief is a force, and like any other, once you believe something is possible, you've already completed half of the journey. Doubt only serves to hinder your progress.
All right, let's come back and take a look at the dailies. All Alright, na tunaanza na gazeti la Taifa Leo. Wafanyakazi wa Raila walia, ni habari kuu katika ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili. Wanasema kwamba ni machungu, kilio na huzuni vilitawala mkutano wa wafanyakazi waliokuwa kiongozi wa ODM Raila Odinga, ambapo mabadiliko makubwa ya wafanyakazi yalifanyika katika ofisi ya Capitol Hill Nairobi Jumatano, miezi mitano tu baada ya kifo chake. Anasema kwamba wafanyikazi waliokuwa kinara ODM aliyefariki wafurushwa baada ya kakake Oburu kuchukua usukani. How sad.
How sad. It's barely more than 6 months.
Yes, just 5 months thereabout. This newspaper is reporting 5 months.
Come on, Oburu can do better to
angewa retain.
I mean, so ni watu wa ndugu yako. You should retain them, take care of them. I mean, when he was alive, he was taking care of them. Leave his legacy as well.
Yes.
Yeah, continue with his...
What he started.
What he started.
Yes.
It's quite unfortunate.
It reminds me of that tweet. I saw a tweet that said, what is happening right now depicts what your uncles would do when your father dies.
Let me tell you, they start telling you, unajua tutakusomesha, unajua tutakupatia kazi, hatutakuachilia mkono. As soon as those proceedings end, as soon as the man goes down 6 feet under, nowhere to be seen. Hata simu hawashiki. And this looks like it's a situation that's happening with, of course, the staff of the late Prime Minister Raila Odinga.
That's the main headline on the front page of Taifa Leo. Other quick headlines here. Koti yapiga NTSA breki kuhusu faini. Wenye magari, madereva wapata afueni baada ya koti kusitisha kwa muda mfumo mpya wa faini. Mbona watu wataki NTSA ichukue fines? I think that was actually nice, and we'll take a look at it on, on the Daily Nation as well later on. But wacha tuangalie vidokezo zaidi. Hiyo tutarudi kukagua baadaye.
Okay.
Shule 2400 hatarini kufungwa. Anasema kwamba shule hizo za sekondari pevu hazikuvutia idadi ya kutosha wanafunzi wa gredi 10. Hii ni kulingana na waziri wa masuala ya elimu Migos Ogamba. Mashoga kufungwa miaka 10. Senegal yapitisha sheria ya kusukuma jela miaka 10 wanaoshiriki mapenzi ya jinsia moja. Sasa kwenye Yoweri Museveni yako ile rais wa Uganda anapiga makofi kweli kwa Senegal. You know, he really hates homosexuality. And
he does.
He does.
I remember there's a time he said that he'll only agree to it if he puts the same gender in one room and one of them comes out pregnant. Then it's going to work. But as it stands, it's a no.
Crazy work.
Crazy work.
Kule juu, Jaji Njoki Ndung'u anusia kiti cha ICC. Huyu ni jaji wa mahakama ya juu ateuliwa kuwania kiti cha jaji katika mahakama ya kimataifa kuhusu uhalifu wa jinai. And finally, kivumbi cha Safari Rally chaanza. Mashindano ya Safari Rally mwaka huu yalianza rasmi kule jana. Lakini usijali, if you're not going, today is also World Sleep Day. Katu nyumbani and sleep and enjoy the comfort of your duvet. It's also very cold. So uko tu sawa.
Uko tu sawa. Unajua, you've talked about the rally na umeona Taifa Leo how they have stated it. Kivumbi cha Safari Rally. Kwa hivyo nimekuambia dust constant. But anyway, let's take a look at what is happening on the Daily Nation. And I mean, the headlines are a bit similar. The 2027 Supreme Dilemma. The Judicial Service Commission is recruiting a Supreme Court judge to replace Justice Mohammed Ibrahim, who died last December. But 2 more vacancies, one certain and the other likely in the general election year, will trigger fresh hirings in the middle of intense presidential election campaigns. Honestly, I feel like this will be something interesting to look at.
Yes, absolutely. They say the Supreme Court vacancies loom before 2027 election. As the solo arbiter of presidential election dispute, Kenya's apex court is closely tied to the electoral process, with such petitions highly likely in next year's general election. So, washaanza kuona that next year, even after election, after voting, there's somebody who will go to court.
Nimbaya.
Let
me tell you, NTSA this week announced wakasema automated system will use vehicle registration records to determine liability. Now, the High Court has suspended NTSA's instant fines, okay? Now, legitimate instant fines, are they Nahashon Kondiwa, who is the NTSA boss, had said that legitimate instant fines can only be paid through the KCB bank branches and designated agents. But Odida, I mean, I don't know mbona watu wanaikata, but I know the people who are suffering the most from this directive. And this is especially if it goes through our police officers. Because kitu kidogo saizi kwa barabara is not happening. If you find me with a mistake, nitalipa kwa system. Hii mambo ya nunua chai
imeisha.
I mean, I hope it works out.
Yeah.
It will deliver us from small corruption here and there. So
there was a time actually CS Interior said that is not corruption. Hiyo ni kuwa si mbaya kupatia policeman fuel.
No.
Said hiyo ni kumwekea fuel kwa gari.
Yes, your fuel. Do you agree?
Well, hakuna bwana. Unajua nikikupatia hiyo thao naweza kula nazo siku ngapi hiyo thao? Exactly.
Na utapata kwa hiyo mistake yenye umefanya ukiangalia kwa system, maybe you only have to pay like 200, 300.
Actually, now the fines are very, very high. Nilikuwa naona if you exceed a certain limit, it's 1,000 bob, it's 3,000, it's 10,000. But I really, really wish we would all embrace this. At least it will bring some order in the city.
I agree.
Because it's starting in the city. I've said it time and time again since this fines with NTSA went up. That my favorite one was the ones on the motorcycle. Unajua pikipiki venye sometimes utakuwa in a one-way road, but you have to still look both left and right because you don't know where pikipiki itatokea wapi.
Ni kweli.
Because now they are told that actually wakipatikana on the passenger walk. What is this called? This passenger walk, this side ya watu kutembea. That one pia kuna fine, and I really, really like that so much. Now pia kama unabeba watu more than 2 in your pikipiki, then that's also another fine.
I know, and I mean, it's something that I saw in Rwanda, and Rwanda huwezi bebwa more than one person per pikipiki, and you have to wear a helmet.
Yes.
I don't know how hygienic that is. Because I mean, nikitoa wewe uvae, mwingine avae. But I think it's something that can be worked around.
Yes. Or kila mtu anunue their helmet. If you love border borders, get a helmet for yourself. I also saw a comment on TikTok that said, the solution to that, I don't know what they call it in boshori. I know that is a Kikuyu term. What is a boshori called?
It's like a Marvin.
Marvin, right. It's a Marvin.
That's not a helmet.
So like you wear a Marvin underneath and then you put your helmet on top.
Yeah.
That is what some people think is a solution to that notion that it's not hygienic.
I agree. I feel like us as citizens, we also need to take initiative to like be able to be part of the change that we want to see happening. So I mean, kama ni mtu mmoja anapanda kwa bodaboda, it's fine. And I mean, I feel so bad when I see people, mtu anaona seriously matatu imejaa, lakini ataka kupanda akuja amejifinyanisha hapo nyuma.
Issue ya sambaza. Hiyo wameaddress kweli. I think now Kenyans want that one addressed too. Watu wanapanda gari zimejaa, unapanda sambaza. And then I always wonder, what if accident happen when you're on a sambaza? What happens to you?
Wacha nikwambie, kuna mtu ashaikalia sambaza akaivunja. You can imagine what happened after that. But yeah, those are some of the things that need to be addressed, Odida. What are we looking at the Daily Nation? I see they've also highlighted tears and tension inside Raila staff crisis meeting at Capitol Hill office.
That story mentioned on the front page of Taifa Leo as well. And NMG shares gains 28% on reports of buyout. This is another story that has been making headlines this week since Tanzanian businessman Rostam Azizi sold some of his stake bought some of the stake, of course. So Rostam Azizi alibuy 54.8% of
the biggest
shareholder. Yes. So this story is still given prominence on the front page.
I mean, that's the biggest shift we have seen in the media industry for quite a while.
Yeah. Do you think we need it? Well, yesterday he gave an assurance that he will uphold the media freedom and just, some of the things that we hold so dear as the media. So he said that we should not be worried about that. And some people are actually going to get jobs according to Aziz. So maybe something that we should be hopeful for. On the back page, Safari Rally, Karan Patel and Tausef Khan, the highest placed local team. And of course, Toyota, Solberg and Elliott dominate opening stages, and that's the Daily Nation.
All right.
Let's take a look at now the Standard. State's new jungle law, gangland they call it, and 2 brazen attacks on properties linked to former Cabinet Secretary Raphael Tuju in Nairobi and former Principal Secretary Irungu Nyakera in Kisumu have revived fears that organized gangs are returning to the political and business arenas after operating brazenly and, critics say, under the watch of police. The hoodlums have shifted from disrupting political rallies to settling high-stake disputes of businesses belonging to individuals not politically aligned to the government. So the business of Irungu Nyakera, his business in Kisumu County, was attacked, right? The Raphael Tuju's as well was attacked. And just to point out what the Standard has quoted here, that on March 11, Karen and Kisumu, on Wednesday, goons stormed Raphael Tuju's property at Dari Business Park and attempted to evict him. More than 100 strangers arrived on motorbikes during the raid. Earlier, a similar incident happened in Kisumu's LBDA Mall, where thugs raided a hotel owned by Irungu Nyakera over rent squabbles.
I can't believe we're going back into this era because, to be honest, it's giving Mungiki. And it's quite unfortunate if you're going to go back into the business of goons. This is something that the Gen Z has been fighting, especially during the protest time, when we could clearly see such guys being on the streets and just fighting Kenyans and citizens. Now it's hitting home to politicians with former PS Irungu Nyakera and Kisumu having gotten all this, you know. It's quite unfortunate.
Yes, and once again, the police are in the spotlight. Wanambua, they're just watching, they're doing nothing about it. Now, time and time again, we've reported that, of course, these goons are being seen in these political rallies and elections. But now, they are going to the doorsteps of these politicians. They're now attacking their businesses. Really? Yes. That's uncalled for anyway. This is not acceptable in any way.
I agree.
So,
someone online said the only thing that Kenyan police are good at is saying we have launched an investigation.
They're always launching.
They're always launching investigations. Anyway, let's have a look at what is happening inside the Standard. We have the Pulse as well. You know, this is one of my favorite parts. Now, there's an interesting story right here inside the Pulse. It's called Hiding in Plain Sight, okay? In a world where faces are not just an identity, but a currency, some celebrities are choosing to remain anonymous. You definitely know Brayo Baika?
I've seen him on TikTok. Hapo siko blank.
Okay. You know the unknown barber?
Who?
The unknown barber.
No.
He shaves people. He's very famous, but he wears a mask. Now, this hiding in plain sight basically highlights celebrities who have not given their face away. They have not done any face reveal, and this includes Brian Baika, the unknown barber, Daft Punk, and an MC known as MF Dome. Now, there was once a chef known as Chef Waislando. He used to cook. I don't know where he disappeared to, but he was also faceless. He used to do everything wearing a mask. And I mean, if I could go this direction, I feel like this is a very good direction because no one knows who you are in real life. You can operate in real life without the mask. No one knows you.
Yes.
Apart from your close people, your close friends. And I mean, I appreciate the circle these people are in because they could easily throw them away, you know. Say, oh, it's Odida, you guys don't know, this is what she looks like without the mask. So I mean, you have to have a very lean and secretive circle who will not
or like what's happening now with the Coco Valley and that Sue cooking for their husbands, the way they've now hidden. I hear people say that the men are now their content. Like once they now show their faces, then the content is done.
That's true. I mean, there's power in mystery. And like I say, people can't ruin what they don't know and what they can't see.
True. I think also before radio went virtual, you know, some of these radio faces they were faceless, people saying, you know, we don't have a face to the name, a face to the voice.
I know.
So I feel like they were thriving. They're still thriving, yeah, but those days, you know, when people now see you, they say, hiya, basi, anakanga hivo.
I know. I mean, but saizi wahenga wanashanga tunawatch hadi radio.
I know.
Anyway, TikTok has announced 26 million AI literacy funding at the Nairobi Summit. It announced to support artificial intelligence, media literacy initiatives across sub-Saharan Africa. The funding was unveiled during the 3rd Sub-Saharan Africa Safer Internet Summit, a 2-day forum that brought together policymakers, regulators, online safety organizations, and industry players. I think this is a very good boost to entertainers and creators and creatives, being a creative as well. I think 26 billion to fund this AI literacy is a win. It's a win for creatives. Yes. I hope it gets to the creatives. I hope the money gets to the creatives.
Yeah. Right. All right. That's all on the pulse.
I think that's all. The last story, which is a rather interesting story. Mtoto wa Hadija Major dropped his debut album, which is dubbed Mtoto wa Hadija, actually. His first album ever since he joined the industry. He's been in the industry for more than 2 decades, but this is his first ever album. And the best parts about this story is that we'll be hosting him tonight on Tribe 47. So make sure you tune in. Right?
You'll be hosting him?
Yes.
Oh, amazing.
We'll be talking about his album tonight from 10 p.m. Make sure you tune into Tribe.
All right. Let's take a look at the People Daily now. How Ruto's spectacle of shiny project masks broken promises. The People Daily calls it an optical illusion, and they covered this story on page 4. They say that President William Ruto seems to show up anywhere and everywhere. The government's side glitters, and that whether it's mega infrastructure projects like the upcoming Talanta Stadium or just smaller community markets, the president is there, camera in tow, ready to broadcast the progress. So issues ni ati president anaonyesha sana. But I think that's what this Talanta, they say the Nyota program that has been, you know, moving around the country to launch. Yes, affordable housing. So at how Ruto's spectacle of shiny project mask broken promises. Of course, the promises that President William Ruto rose to power with, Mama Mbogas and all, Hustler Nation, wheelbarrow, bottom up, you know, such things. So they say that him going around to launch these projects, the Nyota Fund, there's also the Talanta Stadium, like you said, affordable housing as well. So all these things. The People Daily has also mentioned that President has a lot of following on TikTok. Yes, so I don't know what they're insinuating with that. But yeah, optical illusions, as they call it. This story is on page 4. How much NYS land has been illegally encroached is a question, and they're analyzing it on page 2. A crack in the mountain as east and west drift further apart. There's still fight on who is in charge of the Mount Kenya region, and this is another analysis on page 8. The kingpin. Who is in charge?
In life, you should aspire to never have an ex like our former deputy president, because the way he has been pressing Kindiki.
I think I like his moves. I like how he handles these things.
Yeah.
Truthful man, as he calls himself.
Truthful man.
Aspire to be. We should all aspire to be truthful men.
Is he
Say it as it is. Is he truthful? He is.
Is he truthful?
You don't think he is? You think he just anafinya?
There's a very thin line between being truthful
and being
in politics. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So unaona ni kama ko bitter? Because some think he's actually bitter. That's something that has come up. If at all he's truthful, or if it's just the bitter quote-unquote ex, as people call him.
I think to some extent he is truthful, but to some extent it is politics.
Yeah,
yes.
Play of words and all. Yeah. That's the People Daily. You have the Star.
All right, let's look at the Business Daily first. Now, civil servants have been caught stealing 2.4 billion shillings as a recovery flops. Civil servants were caught stealing 2.45 billion in hard cash in the year to June, in what was only a small portion of the amount that the anti-graft agency says is lost from public coffers annually. Now, the PSC said in a report that the theft of money surged from 643.6 million captured a year earlier, representing 280.7% increase. Wow. Mnaiba tu. We're just stealing. I mean, I saw a story yesterday that said the office of the wife of the deputy president spent how many millions?
A lot
of millions. Was it 44 billion? I'm not quite sure of the figures, lakini inasemekana hiyo ofisi hata ifai kuwa ina exist.
Yes.
But it is living beyond
its means.
Its means, which there shouldn't be any means, because such an office doesn't exist. But yeah.
All right, we take a look at the star now, just quickly. Behind the scene push that made KPC sale Africa's biggest offering. KPC is one of the assets that are being sold to maybe fund the National Infrastructure Fund, if I should say so. And they say historic listing was culmination of grueling 3-month process. KPC, they say that sale is doing quite well, and it has recorded about 106 billion shillings so far. Right. And this is a story covered on page 2. Kalonzo and Ngilu parties face risk of deregistration. That's another story mentioned on page 7. Safari Rally pia imezungumziwa hapa mbele. They say Safari Rally fans gear up for thrill-packed weekend at Naivasha. On the top strip, siasa, Nairobi's flood crisis and the urgent call for national action. And be wary, gonorrhea is now outsmarting antibiotics. Experts are telling you, gonorrhea, be wary of that. This is a story on page 4 and 5. Tuangalie hiyo. Today being a weekend, the siasa pullout is there, and it's of course talking about what is happening with the floods. Let's take a look at what's happening regionally. The Daily Monitor, why malaria is on the rise, and they say the health experts say although the disease prevalence was highest among children living in poor households and lowest among those in wealthier homes, it could also be linked to inadequate housing among other factors. That's the main story on the front page of the Daily Monitor. They are still talking about the NMG share gains, and they say it's 28.3% in 2 days. It's on the top strip there. Bobi Wine guards face dismissal from police. They were arrested yesterday. They have been dismissed. On the New Vision, NUP's Nambeshe speaks out on next move, and details of interview with party acting president there, president of NUP. That is the main headlines in Uganda rather. Let's cross over to Tanzania now. Gazeti la Mwananchi, vikwazo vitano na kasoro ya uhamaji Ngorongoro. Anasema kwamba Rais Samia apokea ripoti zikibainisha mambo yaliyosababisha uhamaji wa awali kukwama, zapendekeza hatua za kuchukua, sheria za kurekebishwa, atoa maelekezo ya kufanikisha upya uhamaji wa hiari. Hiyo ni habari kuu katika ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili. The Citizen talks about the same thing, Ngorongoro relocation flows, Samia vows action. She has assured the public that the government will carefully review and implement proposals put forward by 2 commissions she appointed last year. Tuangalie karikacha wanasema vipi, and we start off with the one on the Star. This is Ozone. What is happening with NTSA instant fines?
I think this is exactly what I spoke about.
Yes.
Because the police officer right there is saying you can't be judge, jury, and executioner. That's me. Like, wachendi kuchukua mali na kula, you know? And then, I don't know. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. The one on the Daily Nation talks about the same. Make instant directives within the law. NTSA ilikuwa imesema 80 km per hour, 50 km per hour, lakini ukienda 110 utakipata. But of course the judiciary has halted that. It says make instant directives within the law. So that has been suspended for quite some time. That is the Daily Nation. The one on the Standard, there are 2 sides here. 2 camps. These 2 camps is Linda Mwananchi and Linda Ground. Which one do you support? It's a question they're asking here. But then the commentator says, neither. I think they are one and the same thing. Both camps are only interested in Linda Tumbo. Tell us what you think. That's the one on the Standard. The caricature this morning, quite harsh. They say that
These are two citizens having the discussion.
Yes, ni kama hawa politicians, they're just there to satisfy their stomachs. Finally, the one on the People Daily, Stanmore Stake, Safari Rally. Safari Rally pia inazungumzia mambo ya NTSA. What are they saying?
They are saying
pay the new instant fine for violating the speed limit, but it's negotiable if you want to pay in cash. So they're trying to say that traffic police wamepeleka uko mambo yao kule Naivasha Safari Rally.
Kule speed ndio inaongea, guys.
Speed ndio inaongea.
Clearly you can see police officers are the ones who are being affected the most with this new directive, and this is if the court chooses to uphold it. Yeah.
All right. Now, this week, the NADCO report, or the reforms of the NADCO report, were launched on Wednesday and, of course, on Tuesday. On Tuesday, there was the one by the Oburu-led faction, that is Oburu Odinga and President William Ruto. And on Wednesday, there was a counter report by the Edwin Sifuna-led faction, that is the Linda Mwananchi. That is what will be forming the basis of our conversation this morning on Youth Perspective. What do they think? What is their position in these reforms that were launched, the youth agenda in this? And that is the question we'll be asking our youth on Youth Perspective this morning. You're watching Morning Cafe. Interact with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X at TV47 Digital. You can tag us. My handle is at @Ann_Odida.
At Miss_Kimuyo.
Use the hashtag Morning Cafe TV47. Send us a voice note or a video of yourself at 0793 267 279. We'll be happy to hear from you, of course, as we talk matters youth. Where do they stand with as far as the NADCO reforms and the 10-point agenda are concerned? See you after the break. You're watching Morning Cafe.
And just for the record, the 10-point agenda was not imposed on us. The 10-point agenda was our commitment, voluntary commitment between our parties in respect to the people of Kenya. There are some people who want to appoint themselves supervisors, as if we met the commitment to them. We did not make the commitment to them. We met the commitment to the people of Kenya.
What we witnessed yesterday was a shameful charade meant to hoodwink the public that the MOU had been implemented when it is obvious to all Kenyans that nothing could be further from the truth.
Those who thought that, who were saying that there is nothing absolutely which has been done on the 10-point agenda, shame on them.
This document that was released yesterday is a fraud. This document is a fraud.
Senator Zani-led committee should be surcharged for spending public money and doing nothing.
I took the first step and gazetted a victims' compensation panel. It subsequently went to court, and the court held it for a while. Even as the court held it, we did some work. We have identified all the victims, as we talk to you, with the Kenya Human Rights Commission, with the Independent Police Oversight Authority. We have identified all the victims and profiled their names, and we have already made sure that we have a comprehensive list. We did not even stop at 2013. We went back all the way to 2017 to make sure that all those that were affected by protests from 2017 are now captured.
Who knows the number of the victims? Who decided that a broken leg is worth this? Who decided that when you are raped, this is a compensation you should get? Who debated those issues? We don't know. The Victims' Compensation Fund has not been activated, we know that. What about justice? What about accountability?
I don't know whether that is a good place for me to put a question. I therefore put a question that as many as of the opinion that they agree with the decisions of the organs of ODM and the organs of UDA on the process of engagement between our two formations, as many as of those who agree with the decisions of the organs of the party say aye. Aye. As many as of a contrary opinion say something? Nothing. Okay, they say nothing. The ayes have it.
There is no longer any document binding us with UDA. It expired on the 7th of March. We have said that that extension is illegal.
I am very, very impressed, particularly by the agenda of infrastructure. The infrastructure is the game changer, and that is the game changer for the whole world. If you go to these countries, we are saying we want to go to Canaan through Singapore. That Singapore used exactly the same methods we are using, including the infrastructure fund. Including this infrastructure fund, which the president signed into law yesterday. And it is infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure.
Why will you need to take a chopper to go launch 22,000 shillings? How crazy can you get? You know, you can be holding a doctorate degree, you can be a doctor by title. After all, can he have a photo of his classmates?
We borrow money for personal consumption. We borrow money for recurrent expenditure. We borrow money to loot as a nation. And the moment you loot that money, that debt becomes unproductive debt.
All right, that is what is forming the basis of our conversation this morning, the youth agenda in the NADCO reforms. And as we've had earlier this week, of course, leaders presented the progress report on reforms stemming from the work of the National Dialogue Committee, that is the NADCO, including, of course, the 10-point agenda born out of the 2023 protest. And, of course, among the issues highlighted were compensation for victims, which is a big issue up to date, that, of course, pointed a broader governance reforms or issues that might still be there. That is what we'll be focusing this morning. And we're asking, where do young Kenyans sit in these reforms? Are they central beneficiaries, or were they simply the spark that triggered negotiations but are nowhere to be seen? This morning I'm joined by Nick Mwangi. Nick Mwangi is one of the young leaders, a political analyst. I wonder if you are a certified political analyst. I'm a young leader. You'll tell us which one you prefer, but thank you so much for making time. And of course, we have Hans Rop. Hans is a political analyst. We are hoping that Alionya Roslin is the chairperson, Young Captains ODM, will be able to join us as the show continues. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being early for us to have this conversation. And I want us to start from that particular point, Nick.
Yes.
Are you the central beneficiaries in these reforms, in this report that was released on Wednesday? Because there's a point President William Ruto said that they are answerable to the people of Kenya, to the young people. Do you feel you were central to this particular report that was given? Or rather, let's just say, do you feel like your needs were met?
I think, and where we should start, and where this whole committee that seems to be very shambolic in the first place is, did you see any young person in that committee, Anne? Mm-hmm. So how will these people discuss our issues if we are not on the table? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you know, the most disturbing elements of this whole constituted report, it seems as if it's a cover-up of so many things that are not youth included. Mm-hmm. One, I will tell you, so many young people died between 2022 to 2025, mm-hmm. right? That is not coming out very clearly on how they're going to be compensated. Number two, the compensation fund itself has not even been formed or constituted. And so how are these people going to take care of our issues? Mm-hmm. And it is very clear that we know that each and every year.
By compensation fund, Nick, what do you mean? Because they say they've set aside 2 billion shillings to compensate the victims of the protest.
And you are not a stranger in this country. These are the same people who walked on the road saying that they will give Mama Mbogas and Vijana Boda Boda employment. Until today, are you seeing any Vijana Mboga and Mama Mboga and Vijana Boda Boda on this government? So these are just any false, I don't want to call them hopes, but lies that are being filled, are being incorporated in the minds of young people. I'm getting to more serious issues. And we know clearly that, number one, issues of unemployment are very, very high on young people. Mm-hmm. It is still not being discussed in that report. We know that our young people are still struggling to go in universities, and that is still not being discussed in that report. No one wants to address it, and no one wants to face the president and tell him issue as it is. I saw a clip, and I don't know if it's orchestrated, but the element of 2/3 gender rule, mm-hmm. that was still on the floor. That the governor for Embu was trying to have that discussion with the president face to face, and the president was still saying, no, it is in the report. Mm-hmm. And the governor is saying, Mr. President, it is not in the report. So if issues of women are not in the report, how are the issues of the youth? how will they be in the report? That's what the young people are saying.
Hence, the issue of youth representation, as of course Nick brings it up, do you feel like that is enough? That just the political elites are the ones coming to the table to talk about matters that are affecting the youth? We're talking about youth, the issue of youth unemployment, and of course the youth who are at the forefront during these Gen Z protests, who are of course victims, and I don't want to say perpetrators because maybe they were. If we say whoever attacked them were perpetrators as well. But the issue of youth representation in matters that affect the youth appears to be a challenge. Are you of the same opinion?
So good morning to viewers and all of us. I would have a different view about this because I feel like the youths are only united when they are fighting over disappointment. If there's something we do not like in government, then we get united and really show how prowess is in us, we can show, we can fight. I don't feel like us as youths, we are united to pursue issue-based ideas that we can face the leaders in the government, and then these are the kind of things we want. I've observed a character of a youth to be someone who wants just to fight a disappointment in government. Like today, if we have somebody who comes out like how Sifuna did just a few weeks ago, we run to Sifuna. Now Sifuna's light is dimming out. If another young leader comes in to fight maybe a disappointment that is there in the government, because we'll never find perfection, we run also to that person. We do not have a stable thinking as used today that we can place in our irreducible minimums. That these are things that we need. We've observed, as my brother was saying, Yannick, on what Cecily Mbarire, governor for Embu, was trying to do, fighting for women. What is it that we can stand as youths and ask it from the government? Now that we went into the street, until the president had to give us an audience, what is it that we've placed before the president? What is it that we've placed before the leaders? That this is what we want from the government. You know, we have a character as you that we are saying that we just want to be part of the government. We want to be involved in the government, but we are not placing in that what is it that we want? What is it that we are good in as youths that we want to be given and we will deliver? And then something else we want to ask ourselves as youths is, suppose we are given these responsibilities, can we be trusted? Can we work for our fellow youths? Can we deliver and do the right thing as it is? Because we realize as much as we unite when we are fighting, when it gets back home, maybe later, we began pursuing individual interest. Because you'll hear that somebody is using the youths or paying the youths to do maybe to cause mayhem and so on. But one thing I've come to learn is that it's the same youth who approaches probably a leader that we can show the other leader what's done. Just finance us and we'll show you what we can do. So can we have a character that is principled despite any kind of challenge, that this is what we want and this is kind of leadership? And by doing so, we will show a trusted leadership in us as the youth. We will show that we can be dependable by the country. And we will even show the larger voting bloc that despite you being elder than us, brothers and so on, you can trust us as young leaders and we can deliver to the country.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's just welcome Alionya on set, of course, to also just chime in on this contribution. Alionya, karibu sana. You can just have your seat. But Hans, when you're talking about that youth are just united when they're fighting, I wonder if they're given opportunities to be able to meet these politicians at the top level, you know, just to present the issues that they have. You know, when you're talking about, for example, this Embu governor, Cecily Mbarire, when you say he came out and defended women, asking about the two-third gender rule, then are the youth given opportunities to be able to speak like that and ask maybe somebody like President William Ruto, what is in store for us when you're talking about the NADCO report, the 10-point agenda? Where is our position in this? Are these opportunities there for the youth?
who are young, who do you say is a young person?
The youth?
Who is a youth today? We have many young parliamentaries in parliament today. We have young MPs, both women and men. What are they speaking? We have young men, both in the cabinet, PSS. We have people who are very young. And what is it that are speaking for us as the youth? Those are things we need to ask. If today Hans is maybe chosen to be maybe a leader, a member of parliament, or I'm a PS or a CS in the government, what is it that I'm doing for my fellow youth? And us as youths, are we engaging with these leaders? Who will we think, who will we trust that is now is our leader going into the government? Because you notice that we're in a position where we are fighting the government as youth. We are getting agitated because there are things that we want which haven't happened as we want. And many times we want them to happen like within a blink of an eye. And the government as a process, you realize even for this compensation of the victims, the government had to get a budget for it because you cannot just divert the money from anywhere. So it is coming in the 2026 budget, the one that is going to be ready in June 2026, 2027. So it has a plan. But now me as a youth today, I want an instant change. What is it that we are going to do? What kind of a plan do we have as youths today to ensure that we're able to build into our future? Does it mean that I have to fight today and want the change to happen today? Does it mean that I have to demonstrate and we have to see the changes with the president immediately? Or we need to have a plan so that there is a future, a greater future for us and those who are coming before us. So one thing we need just to discuss and agree as youths today is we need to be part and parcel of a plan with the government, not to fight the government. If today we have an engagement, all these leaders have said, come, let's talk. What can we do? President has been on record doing so. It is not going to fight the president. It is not waiting to point out the weaknesses the president is. It is going in and taking some of our ideas that these are what we want from us as the youth. You've observed what has been happening in the State House about the youth who are in the arts industry, music, comedy, and so on. And a lot has been happening. The president has been engaging in. You've seen what is happening with the youth. Because the government can never employ anybody. It can just employ a small margin of the people.
Why not? Why is it so hard to give or just to have job opportunities for everyone, the young people? Because you're saying the government cannot employ everybody. Then why aren't there, just structures to create job opportunities for the young people?
You know, what happens is in every structure in the world, there's no government that is able to employ anyone, every person. But
structures are formed to create opportunities for the young people.
There are many structures that has been formed by this government. Number one, we've discussed about housing program. It is employment how many youths. We've discussed about employment that is being exposed outside the country. How many youths have gone there? We've discussed about the Nyota program, whereby they're empowering youths who can begin business by themselves. There are many plans that have been placed by the government, and it has helped to reduce the unemployment with the youths. It cannot happen within a day or within a year, that everyone will have an opportunity.
All right.
But there are ideas that the government has really
Let's also hear from Alionya as she also chimes in this conversation. Karibu sana, we're happy that you've made it. We are talking about the progress report on reforms stemming from the work of NADCO, the committee. But now you sparked negotiations as the young people. But do you think or feel like you are beneficiaries from this report that was released on Tuesday?
Yes, thank you very much. While I was getting in, I had my brother, I think it's Nick, who was making some remarks, and I was shocked because as a young person, what I learned from the 2024 protests and the 2025 protests is that sometimes you need to give gratitude for what someone is trying to do as you ask for more. So as young people, we might not be fully or completely, we might not feel or fully completely feel like the NADCO report has encompassed all of us, but you can see what the government is trying to do. I come from the ODM party, the party that has actually come up with this arrangement. And as a young person, there is a lot that I require from the government, but it goes without saying that we can see a little effort being done by both sides to try and ensure that we are trying to create the job employments. Someone has talked of the housing jobs, but I would want to talk more on the Nyota program, because that is something that at least came up after the 10-point agenda, or the people now trying to oversight the NADCO implementation came in. I am the chairperson of Young Captains. There is a time I visited Busia County when we were doing the Linda Ground initiative. And because I was not the resident of Busia, I had to look for someone in Busia to help me go around, because I was also meeting fellow young people in that county. I met this girl, and while we were moving around the county, she was called by someone and she was being asked questions like, how is your business going? You know, what support would you need? And then I was a bit shocked, because I was like, would that be your boyfriend? Would that be your parent? And she was like, these are the people from the Nyota who are trying to find out of the 22,000 they had given me. And the thing that this girl is doing with the 22,000 is I think she has bought a cherahani, because she does some community work in the constituency she comes from. And she's trying to knit uniforms for the people in that constituency, because education is a challenge to them. So that was the first instance I was coming with an interaction of a success story of the Nyota Fund, because I was like, I have not received it because I'm a graduate, yeah? But there's this someone who did not go to university, but she saw a challenge in her constituency, and the only thing she needed was the cherehani, because she said most of the girls and even the boys, they don't go to school sometimes because of torn uniforms, or when they go to schools with torn uniforms, there's that shame and guilt, and then someone fails to go to school. So she took up the initiative of trying to repair, and she was trying to use someone else's cherehani. So it was not always consistent that she would solve the problem. But when the Nyota Fund came, she heard about it in a rally. A rally where opposition leaders were even criticizing it and telling the young people, you just go and take the money and eat the money. But she took it positively, and she said, there's something I want to solve in my constituency. Yeah, and there's this 22,000 that it is being offered. Let me go and see. In fact, when she was narrating the story to me, she said she was doing testing. Like, she was just hearing things on social media, and then she had opposition leaders rubbishing the program, and then she tried to try and see if it would be a success story. So to me, as a young person, me as a graduate, probably my needs might not have been met because of the field of education I come from, but this is a young person whose needs have been met. So as a country, or as a young people in this country, we should ask ourselves,
were their goals met, if at all they are using this for community work? Because if the Nyota Fund was here just for a boost, for somebody to, of course, for their business, but now this is doing community work in their constituency, how are they benefiting from the Nyota Fund?
There are those who are actually doing business with her, because they will shona the Vichenges, the mamas in the village, they will do maybe a suit like me. But for her, her intention was first to solve the issue of education in her constituency.
That's somebody
and secondly, make a little income from it. That is the same question I asked her, and she told me they were undertaken through a training of how they can utilize the money to create income. So we cannot rubbish for the fact that she's trying to solve two problems at a go. We should take advantage. As young people, we should tell the government that, yes, look, we have seen you have the intention of creating job opportunities for those who did not go to school or who did not have the advantage of going to universities. Then what about those of us from the universities? The peers of youths is someone who comes from ODM. This is someone, as young people of ODM, we have looked for him and told him that we appreciate what you are doing for the people who have not gone to universities. So what are the programs you are also putting in place for those who have gone to universities that might not be necessarily consumed in the housing or the affordable housing programs? And we have laid some recommendation to him, and he has said he will go through it, he will present it to the president, and we are hoping for the best. We can't always just complain. You know, I was the greatest complainant of this administration as of 2024 and even as of early and late of 2025. But we have to appreciate that at least 1.8 jobs have been created if you combine it with the people who are being exported to go and do jobs outside. But that is not enough, because as youths, we are about 15 million. Kenyans. So if we have seen the progress of 1.8, we should actually be the ones providing solutions and telling the government, look, I have a degree in this, and I feel like if you do a program in this, you'll be able to create an employment for me. So it should not always be lamenting, because one challenge I have with the people in opposition is they are doing good oversight of critically analyzing the problems of this country, but none of them as of today has provided a solution and told me, Alionya, with your first-class honors, I am going to do this and this and this when I'm elected to ensure that you have an employment. All of them are just raising concerns and problems, just like the rest of us are doing. Then we ask ourselves, if you compare maybe President William Ruto and the people in opposition, which one is better? Because someone is offering maybe the 1 million jobs. It is not perfect, we agree, and the other one is only raising the concerns and the problems affecting us without any tangible solution. So as a young person in ODM, I'm challenging the people in opposition that try and tell Kenyans, yes, Ruto is not creating the jobs. This is what I will do in my first 100 days. This is what I'll do in my first years for you to for me to ensure that you who has graduated with a diploma, with a degree, will be absorbed in.
Just hold on to that thought. We're coming back with that. Let's take a very short break. We are talking about NADCO report that was released this Tuesday. What do you think? Talk to us. Are the youth beneficiaries of this, or they just spark negotiations, but the representation has been thrown under the bus? This is Morning Cafe. TV47 is our handles on X, on Instagram, on YouTube, and TV47 Digital across, TikTok, and of course X as well. We'll see you after the break. Thank you so much for staying with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Youth Perspective on Morning Cafe. We are analyzing the progress report on reforms stemming from the work of the National Dialogue Committee that was released this week on Tuesday at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. And we're asking the youth, where do they stand in this report? What is their representation? Were they heard? Are they central to the reforms that have been made and the ones that continue to be implemented, rather? Let's just get some of the feedback as we continue this conversation. I'm still with Nick Modime, Hansrop, and of course Alionya Roslin helping us with this conversation. All right, Faith Wanjiru from Nakuru says, I feel the report is mostly political. Will young people really benefit, or is this just hype? If the youth are included in monitoring the programs, then maybe we can trust this report. Otherwise, it's just talk. That is Daniel Otieno from Kisumu. We have Kevin Kariuki from Eldoret says the agenda has potential, but clarity and real action are what will make it meaningful for us. All right, something, this is just hype. I don't know where you sit with this, Nick. And Hans was talking about representation. And I wonder what you think about that exactly. Because he mentioned something about the members of parliament who are youthful, that they're not doing anything to represent the young people. But even as we continue to talk about, youth representation, I don't know if you do agree with Hans that the young people, you just unite when you're fighting, but when it comes to issues of national importance like this one, then you're nowhere to be seen. What is your stand with this?
Anne, I listened to my very good friends, Alionya and Hans, and I get very sympathetic because for a minute there, Hans almost had it and lost it, because in one hand, she's supporting what Governor Cecile Mbarire stood up and spoke. So is that an element of fighting as well? Because when young people come up and represent issues, they say that, these young people, one, they don't have anything to do, they just have to complain. So it is really misguided. But I want to school them a little bit, because there's a little bit of miscommunication from Alionya, because she says that, ODM is the party that is doing NADCO report. I want to take her back down the memory lane. NADCO report committee was constituted on the 16th of August 2023. Number two, it was not constituted by ODM. It was constituted by Azimio la Umoja, which had how many parties? 20 parties. And among them was ODM. And again, they are very misinformed, because the issue of Gen Z came in as a result of NADCO not being implemented. So this is not a listening president at all. This is not a listening president who is not even interested in implementing this NADCO report, especially on issues of the young people. Anne, because I kid you not, Anne, and I tell you this from an honest point of view, I think you are in this country when that young man in Rongai, that young boy in Rongai, was shot 7 times. Until today, there is no single compensation. As a matter of fact, let me just say their party leader, because both of them come from the same party. They seem to be also being confused, especially Alionya. She seems not to be decided whether she's in opposition or whether she's in government. At least for Hans, I can understand he's in the government for the longest time. But I'm coming from a point of, this is a man who came out on the record, on the camera, Anne, saying that he has not even had reports of that boy being shot. Until today, that mother in Rongai, the 9-year-old boy that was shot dead, has still not been compensated. Until we saw young people complain where Boniface Kariuki was shot live on camera. These are issues that they don't want to discuss. Why? Because it involves the young people. It involves justice. And I know my very good friend Alionya is a justice person, and she seems to forget where she started. This government, I tell you, will take you for a ride, because they are talking about Nyota program. And let me just ask you a very logical question. I give you 20,000 shillings to do business, yet the environment of doing business is very poor. So what exactly are you doing?
Alionya will be here to tell us
what exactly are you doing? Because let me tell you, the economy has been going down right from 2022. The economy has not been improved. You go to our circles today, businesses are closing. And I know it is a very exciting elements and moments for these people, that they're excited to touch 20,022. They don't know that this is a loan, that still young people have to pay. And anyway, what happened to Hustler Fund? What happened? Because at that point of time, we were discussing about Hustler Fund. Where did the money go? There's still no accountability, because Hustler Fund apparently, and Hans will tell us, was made kushughulikia hustlers, si ndio? So it means hustlers were forgotten now that we have not a program.
Alionya, Nick feels like the economic reforms, there's still an exclusion with this. When we're talking about the NADCO reforms, the environment to do business has been questioned. When you talk about Nyota Fund being disbursed 22,000 to these youth who are eligible for it, you brought the Nyota Fund up, then how is the work environment like? Is it really conducive for people who are getting these funds?
Thank you. I think Nick suffers from the problem of memory, because if you look at the 10-point agenda, the first item, it is actually an oversight on the implementation of the NADCO report. So we cannot discuss NADCO without discussing the 10-point agenda and the findings they made after the NADCO report was formulated. He can also not go ahead to say that ODM was not part of the NADCO preparation. We are the people who championed for that discussion. We were the ones on the streets with our sufurias. I doubt if Nick was on the streets. By that time, he was in bed with government. And by the way, we are supporting a government, a president they abandoned in times of need. So he cannot come here to lecture us about how bad the president is when they are the people who campaigned for him ruthlessly in 2022, and then in 2024 when things went haywire, instead of providing solutions, they ran away. In fact, they are part and parcels of the problems we are going through today. They should not try to run away and try to become freedom fighters all of a sudden. He has spoken about I wanted to make a comment on the feedback that came. Someone saying that maybe the only time oversight would work is when the youth are being the people who are doing the oversight.
Yes.
If you look at the committee of the 10-point agenda, in fact, I see youth representation more than even the NADCO report, because the NADCO report, it is the political elites who are members from both sides. But at least for this one, we have seen young people. If you look at the constitution itself, someone from UDA, I think is 33 years or something, we have seen young people represented in the committee itself. So you cannot say that until all of us or until all Gen Zs are now part of the committee oversighting, this is when things will work. We have seen a representation. The question is, have they done their best? That is the analysis we should be making.
Have they done their best, Alionya, now that you're there?
It is not the best, but it is better, because it is not worse. They have identified the issues of the youths, they have put them there. You know, he's talking about someone who was shot. Let me tell you, if you want to ask Kenyans about compensation, and I even told this committee, because it has people from ODM members, I told them, instead of calling Alionya to discuss the issues of compensation, kindly call the parent of Kariuki, ask her what does she want. Kindly call the person who was being shot, because me, I have friends who were on the streets in 2024 and even 2025. I have friends who still have bullets. I have friends who still have bullets in their bodies, because the bullets are in places that the bullet cannot be removed, because it is critical for the life of that person. That is the person you should be interviewing. What do they really want? If you talk to these people, yes, compensation cannot take them back to where they were, but it is better, because with the amputated leg, at least they can do business, because they cannot go back to the mujengo that they were doing before they were shot. If it is the parent of Kariuki, the parent of Albert Ajwang, there are concerns. Compensation might not be everything. The only thing we, the young people, are still asking the 10-point agenda committee to kindly put more emphasis on is the fast tracking, because on their recommendation they said the cases of police brutality should be finished in, I think, 6 months. So we are even asking this committee to shorten the time frame to about 3 months, so that any police officer who uses his firearms wrongfully, they can be able to be held liable. But you can't rubbish the aspect of compensation, because if you talk at the person who is in KNH, he needs that compensation to pay the bill. Kama ni mtu ambaye akona familia, he needs that compensation to ensure that if I was not able to do for school fees for my child, at least I can do business to ensure that my child goes to school. Nonetheless, that does not guarantee that in future Protestants should be shot. Even the president, I feel happy, because the president even mentioned something on this. He said, I think the Human Rights Commission should come up with mechanisms of seeing how, moving forward, we defend the people who go on the streets. And I appreciate
that thought. Hans, the Sifuna-led faction says 1 out of 10. Out of 10, just 1. The other party says 80% has been implemented. just from the youth lens, youth perspective, how would you rate the percentage that, you know, this reforms the progress so far?
Yeah, myself, I'll give like 60%.
60 or 6? 60. Okay.
Either it can either be 6 out of 10 or 6.
All right.
But
I thought you said 6%.
I also had 6%.
All right. 60.
Sorry, unless Nick has influenced you differently.
60%. Why 60?
Why 60% is so far there's been things that has been done, and 40% what we are waiting to see. Like we are waiting to see compensation because it has to be placed in the budget. The government didn't have that money, so it has to come. It has to be passed in parliament. It has to be, the money has to be allocated for the victims to be compensated. But I'm sure it will get to 100% because it is work in progress. We see the interest. We've seen first commitment from president. You know, we do not have as much as we face criticism. We haven't seen president himself like abandoning the whole idea or not discussing it or going against it. We've seen progress, and his commitment by his sayings that we are going to do 1, 2, and we've seen the progress that has already been done. So for me, I give it a 60% so far, and I have full faith that all of it is going to be implemented. You know, unfortunately, we have people who think that unless they are considered, if not them, youths are not considered. Who are we? Who are the youths in government? You know, we sit today and observe a character of the opposition, and we wonder. Yeah? Because they are fighting the youths. Those youths who support the government are not youths. You know, we should stop these things of saying as youths, as youths. It's time. People should now come forward and say, me, Nick. Yeah, because we are all youths here. Alionya, myself, we are supporting the government. Nick is against it. So where do you get this statement of always saying that as the youths, who are we? We also youths who were impressed with what the government is doing, and we are seeing. We are not the youths who will always want to go to the street and create drama. We don't want, like, we want to attract news attention. We want to show people that we know how to fight.
Nick,
because we studied.
You know, we've had these conversations with the youth, and I also had Nick mention it, that this is not a listening government. Like, time and time again, the youth have, you know, brought up issues of youth unemployment, which is an issue that is still ailing this country. We will not brush that off. The youth have talked about so many things. That's aside from the compensation, of course. But youth unemployment is mega in this. And then if time and time again they say that this is not a listening government, and you say that, you know, sometimes they should be grateful. Then grateful for what if they do not feel like their needs are being met? They're still struggling. They're still, the cost of living is still quite high. We are still living below the poverty line. Then what should they be grateful for?
That's a very good question. But I would rather you say some of the youths, because if you interview some of us, we'll have a different opinion. You cannot say we've interviewed the youths, and so you say some of the youths, because as are some of the youths who are impressed.
Hans, if we go to the streets right now, are you sure we will have the youth telling us that they're comfortable and okay?
No, Hans.
Let me just give my feedback. Hold on, Nick. Let me just give my feedback. This is my feedback. There are youths today who will just want to fight. And there are youths who will appreciate what has been done so far. We'll all agree that Rome was never built in a day. And the government will not provide an opportunity for everyone within a single day or within a year for that. It is a process. If you think it's not a process, then these who act as opposition would have given us alternative ideas on how they can finish this thing on an instant basis. I've indicated before here that I'm not an employee of the government. Neither do I have a super clue stick to the government. If opposition today can convince me on how they can change the problem of the youths instantly, I can change my thinking. But so far, since you do not have anything you bring on the table, I still support whoever brings a loaf. If today you promise me a full loaf of bread at the shop, and you do not have a way of helping me to get it, and I have a half loaf of bread on the table, I would rather go for that to make sure there is a progress. There's something we study in this opposition and the so-called, those who want to say youths. You know, there are people, when we watched president going around the country and launching NYOTA programs, interviewing a youth by youth, few youths will get the money. And the youths are happy. The youths are appreciating on how they are improving their businesses. Why is it that we don't discuss these youths? Why is it that we are here to discuss youths who speak negative? When do we feature the youths who are speaking positive of the programs that the government are doing? Do you want to say all these programs happening are state managed? All the way. There has been, people have gotten the money. They have a success stories. You remember we were here some times back and we were discussing that share is not working. All of a sudden there are feature stories of successful people who have gone to hospital and share has treated them. But should we make news?
That Hans is talking about, I'll come to you, Alionya. Is this what you really want as the youth? This 22,000, because they're saying if now the government is giving 20,000, 22,000, then some of the youth are happy. But is that what you actually want? 22,000, what tangible thing will it do for a youth who is looking, for example, long term? Because if you say 22,000, if you give me, for example, 22,000. Maybe for me it will be coming from a point of privilege, so using myself as an example will not even be viable. But if I give you 22,000, Nick, or if you give somebody in Roysambu 22,000, for how long will they use that amount and for what exactly?
It's good you've brought to the people of Roysambu on the table because that's where I come from, Anne. But for a moment, Hans seems to be undecided whether he's really working for the government or he's also a businessman. But as a businessman, because we've spoken greatly, me and him, behind the scenes about the businesses that he does here and there. And I told you the math. Let's do the math. 22,000 or 20,000, Sindio, registering a business in this country, if you go to eCitizen, is around 10,000 shillings. So how many of you? How much are we remaining with? Please help me with the math. That's around 10K, right? So let us go to Alionya's theory of tailoring, right? You need a machine. How much does a machine cost to tailor?
She will tell us.
Roughly, let's give it 70 to 80,000 Kenya shillings. So do you see the logic into it? The business person is still negative 60,000 Kenya shillings. Hata bado hajanunua stock. Bado hajaanza kuuza hizo nguo. But that's beside the point because they will struggle because they are completely known to divert. These are divertory tactics because Hans cannot clearly tell you how it is working because previously we had the Hustler Fund, Sindio? And all of a sudden it was dropped. Right now we are doing NYOTA Fund. Sooner or later they will drop it because they will realize it's not also working. They realize that so many young people are still jobless. Because I kid you not, and the reality on the table, Anne, is today Alionya went to school to study case study. She went to school for 4 years, probably to study civil engineering course, right? And Hans is telling me that now that Nick has done a teaching level course, I need to work on the, what do you call this, your project?
NYOTA. Not
NYOTA, housing levy project, right? As a teacher, I need to be carrying cement. They should rather talk about, because this government came into office with false promises that one, mama mboga atapata kazi, two, vijana wa bodaboda atapata kazi. It's still not happening. It's still not going to happen. Now they are singing about Singapore, another pipe dream. Anne, because I will tell you, it's not about delivering issues of the young people. It's about, for them, it's about getting the power. And because Alionya challenged me about the issue of going to the street, I want to remind her, because she seems to be forgetting so much, that the issues of young people did not start in 2024. Right? And I remember, Anne, we were with you, I think, August 19th of 2023, where young people had come to the city to discuss the education funding model. So at this point of time, how are they being involved? What has been done? We see so many rising cases, one, of still young people still not affording to go to schools. Those are the practical issues. We still see so many parents still struggling to pay these fees. But they would rather decide and choose to cause a lot of diversion. NADCO report clearly does not, and they don't have intention to involve the young people.
Let me bring in Alionya, because she wanted to comment on something that you said. But even as you do that, Alionya, there's this issue that Nick has brought up, 22,000, and you gave us a very good analogy or just a success story of what is happening in Busia County, that with 22,000, she has been able to purchase a knitting machine. And we're looking at it, the cost of registering a business. I wonder if that business was registered, or if it's just something that she's doing just on the side as a hobby or something. Because if you're looking at it, really, from what Nick is saying, registering a business in Kenya costs about 10,000 shillings, 10,500 shillings. And then the purchasing of that knitting machine, and then what it's supposed to do. Just give us a breakdown of what's happening.
Thank you. I think Nick comes from a rich family, because if you're going to register a company for 10,000 shillings, then that is a private or a limited company. If you look at the rating,
go to the
for you to register a sole proprietorship, and that is what the Nyota people are doing, it actually requires you 950 shillings.
That's a business name. That's a business name.
Preserving a business name is 150 shillings. When I don't come here and lie to people. A small business.
Actually, registering a business name is 150 shillings.
Exactly.
No, it's 1,000 shillings.
No, actually,
listen,
let me just echo the words of Aliona, then you go. In business, company registrations is done twice. You either register a business name or a limited. Limited is 10,600. Yes. Business name is 950. And when you register a business name, you are able to get a business permit. You're able to get an account. You can even get an NCA. You can even do jobs of up to 20 million. So kindly be informed.
Now, aside from that, I looked at how the government was doing Nyota program in Nyanza. I looked at how it did in Nairobi. The governor of Nairobi came and told the business people that I have waived. I think there's something he promised them, either the licensing or something. I remember he promised them something. You go to the governor of Homa Bay, Gladys Wanga. There, when the president is there, he said she will pay for SHA, I think, for those people who are starting their businesses, and also a waiver on the licensing. So we cannot say that there's no room or there's no environment that is trying to accommodate these people to do business. We might not be perfect. As ODM, that's why we keep asking for more. But there's a progress we are doing. So if you have the appetite of wanting to register a company with 10,000 shillings, there's another person who will use the 22,000 and use maybe 1,000 or at most 1,500 to ensure he does the logistical part in terms of having the right papers and the license, depending on the kind of businesses they are doing. Exactly. So we cannot come here and say, please, and this is the behavior of the people in opposition. You see how confident he was when he was lying to Kenyans. But I thank God that we have people of brains who are seated here to ensure they counter such lies. Another thing is, what solution are we giving the government in addition to the problems we raise? For example, me, I've had the concern with affordable housing. I have told myself there are rural counties. I love the idea of affordable housing in towns, but I don't love the idea of affordable housing in rural areas, because if a county is a rural county, there's a high likelihood that someone lives in their homesteads. So why not, and this is a proposal we have given to some of these people in the housing sector, why not offer affordable factories in this area, so that you construct a factory and you rent out this space to a young person to do business? These are the proposals you have been giving to the people in government, and they are saying they will look into it. But if you look at my brother Nick and the place that he comes from, the first thing they do is lie. The second thing they do is propagate propaganda. The third thing they do, or they avoid to do, is to offer solution. I am challenging Nick today. If at all he will be contesting in 2027, him, should tell the people of that constituency or the ward or the county will be contesting, what solutions are you going to offer? Don't be like the people in the alternative government, they call themselves nowadays because they realize the word united opposition doesn't work because they were not united. They continue peddling lies. They continue selling fear. Let me tell you, I was the largest critic of President William Samoei Ruto. And in fact, when Baba was alive, I used to criticize President William Ruto because I knew Baba would offer better solutions. When Baba rested, and may God rest his soul in peace, that is when I even started to watch the speeches of President William Ruto, because before, people in ODM will tell you, ulikuwa ukiona press ya President William Ruto, unafunga TV. Kwanza the time he had Rigathi Gachagua as the deputy, we could not even...
Alionya, what changed your mind? So just for the youth who is watching right now, they're saying if you are a biggest critic, right? Then what really changed your mind so that maybe whoever is watching would also change their perspective and see that actually something is working here and just incorporate it into their daily lives and see that actually something is being done?
What changed my mind is the incorporation of leaders from the minority groups in this government. Let me tell you, there's a PS who was, I think is the PS in charge of human rights or something. She's from Narok. And they were celebrating the other day because since this country got independent, there is nobody from their community who has ever been a PS. The inclusivity in leadership had my friend PS Fikirini, mtu ambaye tumekuwa kwa streets na yeye, being put in government as the PS. Even though I'm not the PS today, there's a PS who has been given an opportunity as a young person, and in 2027 we'll be rating him, we'll be telling him, look, the party gave you the platform to go and be a youth leader for all youths in Kenya. What have you done? What have you not achieved? The inclusivity into this government is what made me change my mind. Also the change of tone of the president, because I remember there's a time he had gone ahead to say, shoot people. There's a time even CS Murkomen was so much stamping and saying, we'll shoot. But if you look at their sentiments of late, because they have people from ODM who are looking at them in the face and telling them, this is a party that has stood for human rights for the longest. For the 20 years it has been in existence. You cannot go around telling people you'll shoot them. You cannot go around telling people that if you go to the streets, what you'll meet is the bullets. And we have seen the president at least lowering his tone. We have seen the president do something on inflation. Unajua pia Nick has sat here and said that the business environment is not conducive. I want to speak from experience. I refill my gas, and it's a 6 kg gas because I live alone. Thrice in a year because I also don't cook a lot. When I refilled it last year, I think it was in October, at around 1350 shillings. I refilled it again this year in February at 850 shillings, to be honest. Hata wewe si unakaa chini unajiuliza yenyewe, hata kama Ruto ni mbaya, si kumpigia kura, but there's something that has been done on the prices of the gas I'm using.
Let's bring in Hans in this debate. There's another issue that if representation was actually there, as you put it, that the youth were actually represented, then what are the specific youth policy frameworks in this particular report and reforms that are actually looking out for you as the young people?
I may not have the policy frameworks often, but just to observe whatever the government have been taking steps to do is you notice the youth is at the center of a plan of this government. And if you give the information of what the government is trying to do, you realize in every plan is a youth. Even opening this business opportunity, giving out like 22,000, this is not a loan first. This is a grant. And when you are able to improve your business, then you'll be given a loan. Unless Nick hasn't been following. You really need to follow it well. The 22,000 is not a loan. But now there's a next phase of finance that's now coming that will give up to 50,000, whereby you can take a loan over it. And we want to encourage many youths who maybe probably they are not informed today, that you do not need to open and actually that thing is, there is a misinformation. Today, I'm a business person. I have registered several companies. Before, for more than 5 years, I used to think that registering a company will take up to 25,000. You remember lawyers would ask like, you need 25,000 to do registration. So for more than, those days we used to reserve a company at 150 shillings. Today you don't reserve, it doesn't allow reservation. So you either register business number 950 or you go to limited company at 10,600. At times you can be charged up to 20 if you assign it a lawyer so that they get a memorandum of association and blah, blah. So for more than 5 years, I always postponed registering because I could not get the 25,000 because of lack of information. So we want to share to the youths today that you can even do it from your laptop. You can even go to the cyber and spend 100 shillings or 200 shillings to ask the person there to register for you through your e-citizen. And then they prompt your M-Pesa with 950 shillings. You just need to get the names, then they do the search. And then you'll be able, once you have the certificate, you can open an account. The same partnership, the same business name can also allow partnership. If you want to do, if you are 3 people having a company and you're doing together, even if it's a business name, it can allow partnership. If you want to go into construction, you can apply for NCS and do the construction. So it is really workable in this country. So today, if you have 22,000 shillings and you can register a business with 1,000 and you're beginning with 21, you can still be able to do something. You realize also that people who have been doing business, existing business, so these 22,000 came in to boost whatever they have been doing. If somebody would have wanted, like I also know a lady in this town who has been, you know, there are people who take like such a space, and then they have a sewing machines. Then you are employed to use one. So every day you have to have your own clients. So you pay like you remember, you know how the mokokotenis are given in town. You are, maybe you are alone in a day, you pay 500. Unaenda kujitafutia pesa, you bring 500 shillings in the evening. So that person today got 22,000 and she was able to buy her own machine now. You get it? Maybe with some debts remaining to be paid slowly. So there are many opportunities today if we observe and you are able to get it. One of the challenges that we face is activism in politics, whereby now I notice a weakness you have, like a government, and I run with it. If today we place in idea-based discussion, that today's, what is it that we can, the other team can offer to us alternatively, then we will be able to grow and we will be able to build up ideas. Because it's either you tell us alternative ideas you can bring in, and why you want to be given a chance to lead. Or you come to the government and say, these are my inputs. Can we consider so that we better the delivery of the country? Because since we came to this studio today, Nick has only been saying what criticism. To date, he has not given us even one single idea on how we can better the life of a youth.
Nick,
if you observe,
for once, now that they've brought this up so
for once, as you hand over to Nick,
what alternatives do you have as the? I don't know if you're in opposition, if you're part of the United Alternative Government, as you call it now, the alternatives that you have. If, say, for example, SHA is not working, then what else? What is the alternative? That if the affordable housing is not it, the taxes are not it, then what's the alternative? I think that is what they want to hear in this conversation.
And you know, I think my starting point will be this. These people coming from broad base, that is Alionia and Hans, they have a tactic in a way to silence the voice of the young people. When you come here and defend an issue of a young people, you are already labeled. Oh, unajua, sijui umetoka United Opposition, oh, sasa mmebadilisha jina, mnajita United Alternative. They are forgetting one element. When we young people came to the street, we came to the street without incorporation of 1, the late Raila Amolo Odinga, 2, Kalonzo Musyoka, 3, William Ruto. We young people came out strongly to defend 1, the issue of finance bill, because it was becoming hectic. But that is not what they want to speak about. They want to label issues and silence the voice of young people, which alternatively is always baseless. But let me respond to the issue of what they're saying about solutions. If the president was willing to listen to young people, when we said, look, when you introduce issues of housing, issuing of housing levy still affects our payslip. A large number of us still are not even interested in going to those houses. One, building a house is a personal issue, but the president was like, no, this issue, it has to be implemented whether you like it or not. And number two, when we talk about the issue of now Nyota program, well, these are what young people are saying. Before Nyota Fund came, before Hustler Fund came, there's a fund called Youth Enterprise Developmental Fund that is already in existence. One, this fund has not been incorporated enough to the roots to facilitate the young people. Young people are still struggling even to access that fund by means of policies and application. Number three, because this fund is also a grant, and both a grant to some extent and a loan. Because a loan or a grant you are given in some way to either start a business or to boost your business. Number four, because they're talking about solutions, a majority of young people have gone to school. For example, I have done, by profession, I'm a chemical and petroleum engineering. They still know, for example, where I'm coming from in my field, we are mining oil. There are no proper structures even to absorb young people who are doing chemical engineering either in TUK or Moi universities. That's what we are talking about. If you have done business, right, and above all, not everyone can become a business person, because a business person, you have to understand how the business works and the business risks. The government of the day, because it's their responsibility by law, they need to empower. You see, not to take power, because what they're looking for is power. And what we are saying, we want to empower.
You believe Nyota Fund is not empowering?
It's not empowering enough. These are structure of getting power 2027.
What would you prefer to be done?
What I will prefer is simple. One, young people are struggling to get to the universities, right? The job system was failing to a point whereby the loans were becoming so heavy on the university, right? They needed, one, to discuss first how the lecturers get paid and how the burden can be proportionally, if transferred to the parents, be adaptable. That was not done. Number two, young people are going to school. Why are they going to school in the first place? If you cannot create avenues of employment, that is a solution. Create avenues of employment, right? Because if you have gone to school to study journalism, what is the employment platform? Number three, make a platform whereby investors, you see, why we are talking about the business environment is because of investors. When investors come, they don't struggle to start up businesses, so that if the government cannot employ us, the investors can employ us. That's what you're talking about. And that is very clear. But I kid you not, this government of the day does not want to listen to that. What they want to do is play these charade games of here and forth, and absolutely take no responsibility. Because it is very good that Alionia said that the president said elements of shoot to the leg. But has the president taken responsibility of such words?
Alionia, I'd want you to start from, of course, I'd give you a chance to also respond to that issue of just accountability, even when talking about this issue of compensation and all. But is Nyota Fund a grant or a loan? You brought this up, and I'd love for you to just clarify on it, because Nick insists it's partly a grant, it's partly a loan. Hans says this is strictly a grant. Then where do you stand with this? Is this a grant? Is this a loan? How does it work from your own understanding as somebody who's in the front lines of witnessing what it's actually doing?
If my memory serves me right, we all agree that this one is a loan from the World Bank. But it has been given to young people as a grant. I mean, what is hard to understand there? Because the person who has been given the 22,000 is not going to give it back. In as much as we are going to pay it as tax, at least I'm going to pay tax for that money, and I know where it has been used. The previous governments have taken loans and grants that we never even used to hear where the money has gone. We would just hear a few billions have been lost. We must appreciate this presidency for transparency to some extent, because he has said, okay, look, I'm going to give 22,000 to Kenyans. then I'm going to even parade the people I'm giving the 22,000 so that you don't say that I colluded with my MPs to ensure that people from my regions are getting the money. And we have seen at least people from coasts, we have seen people going to get this money. People from Nyanza, we have seen people from Central in equal measure. And there has not been an allegation of, I don't know, you are getting the money because you know who and who. So we need to cut this government some slack on the issues of Nyota, because previous governments have been there with equal amounts of funds and sometimes grants or even loans, and we have not even heard of how this money has helped the young people. So Nick should not be here and making it an issue of whether it is a grant or whether it is a loan. We know
who is going to pay it. That is something
all
that
of us. Let me tell you,
including those who haven't received,
I'm a teacher,
including those who did not receive.
I'm a teacher of business and economics. Let me tell you, we have principles of taxations and we have principles of public expenditure. Since time immemorial, my community has been tasked for a road constructed in Central. We have to agree on that. But I can't complain because that road is helping Central, and there's a time a road will be constructed in my region and all of us will pay for it. So we cannot say that because we will pay for this amount of money and then we make it a problem just because we'll pay it as taxation. Yes, we'll pay it as tax. But at least we have seen where the money has been channeled to help people to create employment. I don't know which side Nick was in 2013, in 2017. These amounts were still there. The funds, I think the Wezo Fund, I don't know, the Wezesha Fund. Which tangible solutions, which individual do you know that has been helped?
Hans, can you imagine somebody who is watching this morning? I don't know what you think about it. They're hearing that they will have to also pay for this grant or loans that are being issued to other youth through the Nyota Fund. But they're not eligible for it. There are also young people who are struggling at home. They cannot get this 22,000, but then at the end of the day, they will now be subjected to pay it as taxes. Hans, what do you think? I'll give you. What do you think about it?
Yeah, for once, I beg we have a prudent thinking. Let us not limit our thinking. Just like in our family. If today I've cleared my farm for, and we have a farm like 2 acre, 3 acre, and we farm, and maybe through the harvest, we pay school fees. So if today I've cleared school, doesn't mean that I can't go to the farm because the harvest is going to help my young siblings to go to school. Yeah? It doesn't mean you do that. As my sister has just placed it, yeah? This 22,000 is a partnership between the Kenyan government and World Bank. Of course, it's a loan to Kenya, but not as a loan to an individuals who 22,000 is being given to. It is just meant, you know what the government, you know the plan is just smart. You're able to give 22,000 to the youths. They will do business. That business will raise taxes. The same tax will pay back the loan. You get it? You know, it's like today you go to a bank and you get a loan of $1 million shillings. You are paying 50,000 per month to open up a business. That business will be able to give you profit and some to pay back the loan. You get it? Yeah? So it is as another observation. You say everybody is not going to access, but at least there is a group of people who will be able to have helped. And that is a part of solving. That those who are working in the housing program, that those who are in the Nyota, other ideas will come to help others, and still we will also, all of us will pay the taxes. It's just as it's indicated. I want you to hold on.
How this would sit with
Listen, today,
yes.
Let's be honest. Today we are paying for taxes of an SGR from Mombasa to Nairobi. There are many people from other regions who have never used SGR, and it is a lot of cash. The same SGR is coming to go to Kisumu, to Malaba. There are people in Lodo who will never use SGR, but their taxes are used to pay.
All right.
Same
your
thing
point
to the
has
roads.
been Peter, Chris Hans. Let's just hear from Nick here.
No.
How would that sit with you if you were not getting this?
No, first, let's get it right. This Nyota Fund is a 5-year initiative of the government of Kenya, financed with $222 million US. And let's get it right. No, Hans is deceiving Kenyans this morning. He's talking about SGR. SGR is accessed whether to everyone. So the matter of using it's a preference. This loan is not a preference. It's not a preference, it's a grant. And you know the elements of application of grant. It is who has qualified the most to receive this grant. However, what they're not telling Kenyans, and completely, that each and every single Kenyan, the 50 million, 55 million plus, has to pay for this loan. And that's not what they want to tell Kenyans this morning. They want to divert the conversation that if I have received the grant and Alionia has not received it, at the end of the day, we both have to pay it. You understand? That's what we're talking about.
And we have accepted that. Nobody has differed.
Let's get some feedback. Let's hear what the people are saying this morning. We have some feedback from WhatsApp, and we do encourage you to also keep sending 0793267279. Let's listen in.
Good morning, Fred na Ann. I'm Hexagon watching the show from Kangaroo, Embu County. The 10-point agenda is a big scam. The agreement was signed on 7th March last year. Sasa after 1 year, ndo wanasema wanaunda committee ya kuimplement. Kama sisi ni watu wa mjengo, waache kutubeba hivyo juu. Why would they need a committee now to pay the family of Alberto Juang ama Rex Masai? Hii ni strategy ya 2027. Now, and we are watching Woza Manze, show iko lit.
Alionia, why will they need a committee now? That is what he has brought up. That the extension is sort of questionable. That if it was formed last year on the 7th of March, then it was expected to at least, quote unquote, expire by the 7th of March. And of course, we've had other leaders saying that this agreement cannot expire. Then the question is asking now, why would they need a committee now?
Thank you. As a country, we need to accept that we have been, as a society, we have been the problem to the implementation of some of the policies to us. Because the truth of the matter is, if the parliament was doing their job, if the executive was doing their job, if the judiciary was equally doing their job, we would not be here with the 10-point agenda. It is just the truth of the matter. But because there is someone who failed on their job, we needed a catalyst. The question should be, the catalyst that we have put in place, has it bared some fruits? To be honest, it has. Because if you're having 2 billion that is going to compensate the victims of police brutality, then let us look at when the 2 billion will be disbursed to the victims. And we look for the parent of Kariuki, we look for the parent of even, because they have said they will even look back to the people, the victims in 2017. Let's try and see, has the money gone to the right individuals? And as a country, I want to call on all of us. If there's something that eats us every day, it's corruption. Because if you look at even the previous court cases, someone goes to court because of police brutality, but because someone has heavier pockets than the person who was the victim, they are able to go away with the crimes. Yeah, but we have a catalyst we have put in place. To be honest, we don't need a committee to ensure that, the constitution is implemented. But there's someone who failed somewhere. So do we sit back and continue failing, or can we offer solutions? And that is why my party leader, and I think the party leader of UDA, came and said, this has not been implemented. We need to have people fast-tracking. Like I saw from the NADCO report, they said they had 9 bills that they had tabled. They have fast-tracked 3 bills. Can't we just clap for them and say, we have seen the intention of you ensuring that the bills that will be speaking to the problems we raised have been passed? Rather than sitting back and saying that this is a 2027. And there's an argument that that young man has brought, that in the agenda ya 2027. Let me ask Kenyans, kama mtu anatumia propaganda mzuri kuwin election in 2027, isn't it a win for us? What if the person was using wrong propaganda? I mean, if someone is using a propaganda, someone is using a tool, you know, ameleta nyota fund, watu at least wapate stipend. Isn't it a good thing that even if they're asking for election in 2027,
is that good? Is that good propaganda sustainable?
It might not be sustainable to some extent, but we are seeing the progress. If the impact of Nyota Fund, it is up to us young people.
Then that's manipulation.
It is not manipulation. And if it is manipulation, I think it is good manipulation, and I would encourage this manipulation to continue.
So they manipulate themselves to power again and then fail to implement the things
if you look at it as manipulation, and the way my friend has looked at it as manipulation,
what would you call it, Alionia? What would you call it? If
I mean,
you call it...
the The government has been given money. It has sat down. Experts have sat down and asked themselves, how do we ensure we uplift the young people? And then they looked at the demographics and they said, we have people who have gone to school, but we have the majority of young people who finish their Form 4 and they're unable to go to university.
Just hold on to that.
Let us start from there. Isn't it a good solution?
There's this
if
debate.
It is manipulation, I love this manipulation, and may the president continue.
There's this debate that the retirement age should be pushed to 70. And as we come to the end of this conversation, I wonder what you think about that. Because if you're now talking about youth unemployment being on the rise, and then you're having a debate that is pushing for the retirement age to 70 degrees, then are we really fighting the youth unemployment? Where are the youth going to get opportunities to better themselves or experience for when they want to enter the job market? What do you sit? Where do you sit? Where do you think about it?
Myself, I would even ask it be reduced to 50 years. I do not recommend 70 years because just the same way I told you, we have few opportunities of employment in the country. I would recommend to even it come to 50 years because 50 years means you can get employment at 25 years of age. Working for 25 years, you are able to have been able to get something for retirement and plan yourself.
Nick, what do you think about it? Pushing the retirement age to 70?
Before I give my feedback on that, just to wrap the issue of compensation.
Well, we'll get to that I think on your final take.
Probably to because they asked for solutions and we rather give them now. On the 20th May 2020, there was this man called George Floyd. I think you guys remember that person. He was killed by a police. That police was called Derek Chauvin. But by April 2021, that man was was found guilty of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and manslaughter. Before we come to compensation, what Kenyans are saying, we need to see police brutality taken into action. The president does not want to address that. He wants to talk about compensation. The Kenyans are saying, we can compensate as many people, but this repetitive element of police brutality needs to stop, needs to come to an end. The issue of term limit, I know these people are very sensitive to term limits. I'm even shocked. Hans, for the first time, I said, yeah, we need to put a cap on the issue of term limits.
Retirement.
Yes.
When you say term, they might think it's
residential, term limit. They're really sensitive to it. I was getting there, and the president of the day really does not really care about the element of age, because in his mind and in his intention, he plans even to extend his term limit. There's been conversation because when you put such kind of a person into power, his element is not to serve to people. His element is to remain into power. And we have seen progressive countries that condone issues of term limits and age. They just push it each and every single time. We've seen it in Uganda. We've seen it in other countries as well. But let's be very clear. When we empower our citizen enough, because Alionia is proudly talking to us that in the arms of government, that some elements have failed. But what she's not, let me say, she's not telling Kenyans that when you choose an executive that decides to go to bed with the legislative arm, that and then they make laws that hurt the common mwananchi, it becomes impossible to serve Kenyans. And you see, what I will suggest, so that we wrap that conversation of age limit, the executive powers need to be constrained well in the Constitution, because ideally the executive, legislature and judiciary, they are supposed to serve Kenyans equally or with a lot of equity. But for the longest time, since our new constitution, the executive has always strong-armed other arms of government, and that cannot happen. And that is impossible for other arms of government operate.
We've run out of time, but I would also just want us to take at least 20 seconds each for our final remarks. And I'll start with you, Alionya. Where do the youth sit? What do you think should be done to just bring the youth at the table and have their voices heard so that we can end this debate of this is not a listening government?
Thank you. I think as Kenyan youths, we need to start running away from the fact that we are waiting for us to be invited at the table. As of 2025, I called upon myself and told myself, I'm no longer going to sit and wait. And how do we invite ourselves at the table? Let us prepare. Because there's someone who challenged me last year when we were in the streets and told me, Alionya, if today you are called upon by the people you go to the streets with to become the CAs of Treasury, will you manage? It had to take me to the drawing board. Let us prepare ourselves as young people. This leadership that you criticize most, we are going to be the leaders probably in 2027. Will you be able to deliver as a member of parliament? Will you be able to deliver as a senator? Will you be able to deliver as a governor? Will you be able to deliver as a president, even those young people who are aspiring to be presidents? And if there's anything I will tell my fellow young people, there is nobody who is going to create a table for us. We have to create a table for ourselves, and that table can only be sustainable if we also make grooming on ourselves. Let us do research. Let us analyze things objectively. Let us avoid the politics of tribalism. Let us be factual. Let us be objective, that when something is wrong, is wrong. When something is right, is right.
All right, let's hear from Hans. Thank you so much, Alionya. 20 seconds, please.
Okay. There's much that has been done by the government for the youth. Let's be of servant. Let us listen to the government as planned. And youths have a future in this government. And we do not have any better government as we speak today, or those who intend to, who have youth plans at heart. Reason is because we never feel anything they're planning. You know, I sit next to my brother from Roysambu, and every time I listen to him is 1, 2, 3. I don't hear any alternative. 1, 2, 3, I complain. They haven't had any alternative so far of a plan. So it is just the same game, the same language in the street and so on in the public rallies. But one thing I'll tell the youth of this country, it's high time we open our eyes. At times the Bible says you could be having ears and you do not hear. You could have eyes and you do not see. There are many done in this government that is going to improve the life of our youth.
Nick.
Thank you so much, Anne. I think for once I want to agree with Alionya, because Alionya has brought out one element, factual, that young people need to be conversant with, that this table that we young people are talking about, no one is going to give us. One, they need to register as voters. Very important. Two, apart from having the intent to register, they need to also have the intent to show up and vote, because our vote really matter. It really counts. We're having bad leaders because young people are not coming out to vote wrong leaders, like the president of the day. And then finally, you know, my good friend Hans has a lot of allegations. I have provided here a lot of solutions, and I think you've heard. And that's why I say this government does not listen. Thank you.
That is Nick Mwangi, political analyst. We have Hans Rowe, political analyst as well. And of course, Alionya Rosling, chairperson, Young Captain's Odium. That is the Youth Perspective this Friday. We are talking about the progress report. We're analyzing it. It was released on Tuesday this week. Where do the youth sit in this conversation? That brings us to the end. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for making time. You're watching Morning Cafe. Stay with us. The Weekend Queue is on standby for Feel Good Friday.